Hi there, my name is Tharik Hussain and I am the author of Minarets in the Mountains, a journey into Muslim Europe, which I am delighted to say is Stanford Travel's Book of the Month for July. Minarets is about a wonderful journey my family and I went on during the summer of 2016 in search of Europe's indigenous Muslims and their fascinating culture, heritage and history. We travelled through 6 countries: Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Kosovo, North Macedonia, Albania and Montenegro. Now if you're thinking, wait, but that's not really Europe, we'll come to that. 3 of these countries have Muslim majority populations, and all of them have Muslim heritage that in some cases spans almost 6 centuries. Our itinerary took us to the parts where the Muslim population and heritage remains the most visible. This is why it is described as a journey into Muslim Europe. As a Muslim family of mixed heritage residing in Europe, we embarked on this journey to explore what we felt was our heritage, and you could say to meet indigenous versions of us. On the road trip, we met blonde-haired, blue-eyed Muslims, visited mystical Islamic lodges in magical locations, and prayed in mosques as old as Rome's Sistine Chapel. What makes this book so different to other travel logs is that it is the first to really explore Europe's living indigenous Muslim culture, and the first to do so through the eyes of a Muslim author. It is also the first English travel log to follow in the footsteps of the well-heeled Ottoman traveller Elia Çelebi, a funny, entertaining and fascinating wayfarer who wandered through these countries back in the 17th century when the entire region was Muslim territory as part of the Ottoman Empire. Elia's observations allowed me to travel back to that time and compare just how Muslim this part of Europe really was. The great traveller's accounts reveal a largely cosmopolitan world, home to a thriving mixture of religious and ethnic communities. He unveils long forgotten local Muslim liberalism and introduces us to hilarious and fascinating characters now consigned to history. As we ventured through cities where the sound of the call to prayer was as normal as the ringing of church bells, and met European Muslim heroes who had rescued Jews from the Holocaust, we came upon a European Muslim art style that merges classical Islamic design with classical European ones. We learnt about the historic roots of the ethno-religious tensions that led to a Muslim genocide in Bosnia, and how prior to the Nazi Holocaust, for almost 12 centuries, the Jews of Europe were largely protected by the Muslims of Europe. However, this did leave us wondering why we had to go and discover this heritage for ourselves. Why was this not in our European history textbooks? Why were these truths not taught in our schools? This journey was through a region that is not described as Europe today. It is almost always identified with the prefix Eastern. In other words, this isn't Europe, this is Eastern Europe. The locals we spoke to and the research I did posed some worrying questions as to why this might be the case. Why are Europe's indigenous Muslims so invisible to the rest of the continent? Why is the region they live in so successfully othered from the idea of Europe proper? Is this deliberate It's not like we need to identify the rest of the continent as Western Europe. And what would Western Europe have to come to terms with if it did embrace Eastern Europe and its indigenous Muslim identity? For us, this was a truly eye-opening journey. As well as sitting with Muslims comfortable in their European and religious identities, to drink the coffee their ancestors gave the continent, we travelled through stunning mountainous landscapes. Balkans means mountains in classical Turkish. We swam in crystal clear blue seas and ate delicious local cuisine that felt wonderfully familiar. We experienced a warmth and hospitality rooted in classical Muslim travel culture. And for the first time in our lives, wandered through a Europe where we were not a strange other, but just another Muslim family, like the millions that had called this region home for the past 6 centuries. I hope in reading Minarets in the Mountains, you enjoy the journey that took us there. Thanks for listening.